Guess where we are? Well, let's go in through the front doors and see if you're correct. Alright, see you inside. Hi, Mark Paulus, All Auto Vlog. Here today at Shelby American. It's going to be a blast. Take a walk through, see some cars. I'm going on a private tour. It should be very informative. All right, let's get started.
The man, Carroll Shelby, engineer, race driver. The car, the Shelby Mustang GT.
To build my kind of car, I had to take an existing car and modify it. I could have chosen any set of wheels I wanted. I picked Mustang.
Hi, I'm here with Mike at Shelby American. We're going to take a quick tour of the inside here at the museum and into the shop. Hi, Mike.
Good day, sir. I'm glad you're here with us today. We'll spend about 20 minutes on watching the cars get turned into monsters and spend about 20 minutes seeing the history of these monster Ferrari-killing, beautiful, magnificent American-made cars.
Sounds great.
You ready, sir?
Let's get started.
Let's go through the door, get started right here. So what we'll do initially, since we have the whole place to ourselves, we will start here, and you will see off to the side all these different stalls. The stalls are representative of one person turning a regular Ford, whether it be a pickup truck or a Mustang GT, into a supercar. Now, all these vehicles right here, the stalls, of course, it's very quiet today. The reason it is quiet, we're a Monday through Thursday organization. We come in at 4 o'clock in the morning, try to send everybody home by 2 to 2:30. That way they will be done by Thursday. They spend 3 days with their family. Shelby American is a very family-driven organization. They do not, under any circumstances, want you here on Saturday, and it better be a really good reason to be here on Friday. Now, if you look to the wall, you'll see we've got thousands and thousands of signatures. That's the standard we have here. When you come into Shelby, we want you to leave your name. Hopefully you leave it with a little bit of smiles. One of the greatest American names, we want the American names next to the working. Now, you're going to see magnificent X. When I say that, the Hertz Automobile Company or rental company is going to bankruptcy. But Hertz and Shelby were almost intimate. When I say that, we go back to the 60s when Shelby's first starting out about 65. He's convinced Ford Motor Company that he has a supercar. But it's a Shelby, it is not a Ford Shelby, it's a Shelby. So Shelby pushes his name out there, goes with the Hertz rental agency. He convinces them that they do have a section where you can rent a very nice sports car. He expects them possibly to buy 200 of the Hertz Shelbys. Hertz comes through, surprises everybody, and buys 1,000 of them. Therefore, you can rent a race car on Friday. You'll rent it for $13 a day, 23 cents a mile. You can take it to the racetrack on Saturday. You'll take your girlfriend with you. You will have a wonderful time, and you will probably win. Now, if you can look inside, just imagine this is a 66 Shelby. It goes out on Friday, and it comes back kind of roughed up on Sunday. Many people would put roll cages or roll bars in it. It would really beef up the engine, and the tires were really going to be smoked. This next statement is more fact than legend, but it goes into both corners. You, sir, rent this car. You race and you rip and roar. You have a fantastic girlfriend. You and her have a wonderful Saturday night. You say, baby, I've got to go do something. So you're gone for about 4 hours. You wake up on Sunday morning. You say, man, would you turn the car in for me? I'm too tired. She says, baby, I'll be glad to. She turns the car in. You know what happens to her at that point? She gets arrested. And the reason she gets arrested, because you, Mr. Powers, were wily enough to know that 289 K-Code engine is a rare gem. So you and your friends pull the K-Code engine and replace it with a real lousy 6-cylinder, maybe a real lousy 289. Hertz lost a lot of cars that way. But they figured after a little bit, we've got our money's worth out of these. We cannot maintain these cars as well as we should because they are high-performance race cars. Hertz gives them back to Shelby. They say, Shelby, we got our money's worth out of them. They're yours. Shelby buys them at hardly anything, and he offers them to his employees for about $800 a piece. They were sitting in front of the office or the building over at the airfield. They sat there for a while. Nobody bought one. If you can find one of these 1966 Shelby Hertz cars, you're going to spend between $80,000 and $100,000 for one. But in 1966, you could have got one for $800. And this was the one for 2016 to try to commemorate the 50th year, whatever it would be of it. It was a fantastic car, but with Hertz going away, I just can't help but think these things have become more and more collectible than they were, say, a few months ago. Now, one of the greatest statements that I believe in is success has 1,000 fathers and failure is an orphan. One car sits out as the Shelby failure. Now, many things don't work out right, but this one gets a huge amount of credit. This is a collaboration in 1997 between Carroll Shelby and the Oldsmobile car company. Oldsmobile talks to Shelby and they say, Carroll, you've done wonderful things with Ford and the Cobra, wonderful things with Chrysler and the Viper. Can you turn that same magic on to us? Shelby says, yes, I think I can. So this is the only car from the ground up that Carroll Shelby completely designed. Now, it's got a beautiful look to it. It's got a 4.0 Oldsmobile Aurora engine. As many parts and technology from the Indianapolis Racing League were put into this car. If you were to raise it, you would see the 4.0 engine, and it's not going to have the hood like we're used to. Easy car to work on. If you look at the interior of it, at the magnificent Shelby seats, at the 4-speed or 5-speed transmission, and you can see mostly GM parts there on the dash. But this car just did not work out properly. Initially, it was expected to be $85,000. Then there's one issue after another. Oldsmobile has a lot of issues with the car. They're not selling it. It's not going as good. It was expected to be an $85,000 car. Within a year and a half, the cost had ballooned up to $185,000. So the market was gone. There was never a desire for them. Shelby ends up getting stuck with possibly excess of 250 of these Oldsmobile engines. It was a disaster at the time. It really hurt Mr. Shelby financially. Once they're able to take the time to get the bugs worked out on this car, in 1999 it could take on any Ferrari, any Porsche, and leave those vehicles behind it. It was a great car. The developmental process, which is key in having the right people and the right amount of money, just did not work for this car. Our president has two of them. He absolutely swears by them. It just did not work 21, 22 years ago. This is the 50th anniversary of the Super Snake. Super Snake, but why is Shelby calling this car a Super Snake, or the name Cobra? Where does he get this idea? The legend, which I'm going to say is true, Mr. Shelby wakes up one night after a bad dream. Possibly the Lord said to him, Carroll Shelby, I want you to name your car the Cobra. My thinking is he went to bed with possibly a little bit too much Jack Daniels, wakes up with a hangover, but the name Cobra is what he's going to put on his very first car, which we'll see in a little bit, and we still use that name today. The name Super Snake and Cobra is easily two of the most well-known American car names, and we're lucky enough to have them associated with the Shelby legend. One of the GT 350s, and I can't say if I was to want one because I've got my own. The GT 350 is easily a supercar. It did magnificent. People always argue which one's faster, which one's better, the GT 350 or the 500. They both have strengths in areas that the other one doesn't. Either one you get is going to be a first-rate, very efficient performance car. 500 will go straighter faster. The 350 will get in and out of the curves faster. It's going to depend on what you want. Me personally, I just like the sound of the name GT 350. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And this white truck here is an aberration. It's just one of the ones that the people here work with. The official pace truck few years ago, Shelby was the pace car and pace truck at the race right on the north side of town. Please keep in mind, for many years, Shelby had the plant out there near the racetrack, and you could do some developmental work in there. Now you can see the Shelby Raptor here, Super Snake. It's getting bigger and badder and badder. 525 horsepower. Some of the ones, when we're finished, they'll be Super Snake. They'll have 850 horsepower. And we'll see how that's done in just a moment. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. Now, I wish you could see it, but usually we keep a blue Shelby Mustang right here. It's about a 2014, not 2012. What it is, it's called a Shelby 1000. Now, it was the last car that Mr. Shelby was closely associated with. Him and Vince Violetta would go out to the racetrack. Vince would take him through that. Shelby would say, do this or do that. And Mr. Shelby's an older man, very weak systems. He would have to take a break. But the Shelby 1000 that we have many times on display here was the very last Shelby that Mr. Shelby actually, the very last car, to be more specific, that Mr. Shelby actually sat in. So it's kind of revered as being the last of the great Shelbys. If you want to take a look through everything here, we're going to go into cross and go specifically from one station to the next station, talking about what happens at that station. This is only one of 3 buildings. We'll have 2 other ones that really are just storage. The cars will come here, the trucks will come here from all across the country. They'll have to wait their turn, or when we're finished with them, they'll go to the other one to be shipped back to where they're going to start from. So let's go through this area now, then we'll get into the garage area. Now we are at the start point. Mark has said to himself, it's finally time for me to get a Shelby. He wants a Shelby Super Snake with all the bells and whistles. And Mark, you go to your local Ford dealer that's authorized to do the Shelby work, and you say to him, I want a green Shelby GT 500 or a Super Snake, and I want this, this, and this. They say, fine. You and the company will make an arrangement with the money, and it's a done deal. They then say, Mark, give us 5 weeks. Come back here on X day and we will have your Shelby with everything you want done to it. The dealer will then notify the plant where they're made at, which is up in Flat Rock, Michigan. They'll say, take a green one off for Mark. Now, it might go to the plant at Elkhart, Indiana, or it might come here. It comes here, it'll come through those doors. It'll come through those doors as a Mustang GT or a regular Ford, that's whatever series. First thing it does is come into this section right here. Now, this is probably the best car wash in the city of Las Vegas. We have very special water here. If you're in Las Vegas, you'll know the iron content or whatever it is, it's going to spot very quickly. The first thing this car gets here is a superb wash. You can see the different equipment we have there. Sometimes we have the different waxes. It'll take about an hour to make sure it is down to the level that we want it. When they're finished with it, the same thing will happen. So come in clean as you can possibly ask, and leave as clean as you can possibly ask. Now, once this thing is cleaned up, we're going to say it's one of the pickup trucks. It's already been tasked to a certain mechanic or certain technician. We're going to imagine the one over here. You can see that pickup truck. The technician isn't there today, but if he was here, at his pace and his timing, he will do what needs to be done to it. There's not a set, do this on Monday, do this on Tuesday, do this on Wednesday. The technician can do whatever he wants to, possibly. He wants to do the understructure first, or he wants to do maybe the interior first. That's going to be his call on that. Now, if you come over in this direction, please. You'll see, I never do remember the number of bays, but I want to say it's excess of 21s. First grade hoist. I wish you could see the team that works at this section right here. A gentleman named Ritter is the pickup truck expert. He's been with us with the pickup truck section for about 8 years now. I will toot my horn a little bit when I say at the same station we have our very first female technician working here. Came from the retail side. She gets her elbows just as dirty as anybody else does, and everything I'm hearing, she's as happy as can be, and her work is no different than anybody else's. And she started with Shelby on the retail side, and now she's turning Shelbys into super Shelbys. So I'll say that's a little bit of a doesn't that feel great story right there. Now, this is not a Shelby, but we use the different go-karts to move different things around. We'll have the parts down there. The parts are going to come up, as you can see up there, the parts are going to come on a pallet. But even better, look over near the silver car, if you would. You see the boxes up there? The parts people know exactly what's going to happen there. They know what's going to happen to that vehicle. Old parts, almost new parts will come off. And the newer parts, the Shelby parts, will go on. So to bring the parts out there from our bin, which we'll get to the parts bin in just a little bit, there's no running around trying to find the right parts. It's very systematic. All the parts will come out there, and the driver will be able to put them on and take them off. Please forgive me. The technician will be able to put them on and take them off at his own pace. So come on down, please. That's what these are here, the new parts. I'm not sure if we finished up this truck last week or not. This one's probably going to be on the hoist early part of next week. It hasn't been here but just a couple of days or so. I'm not sure if this hood's going to have anything to do with it. Now, airflow, I'll talk about it a little bit more, but we are superb at getting cold air in, turning it into hot air, and getting the hot air out. The quicker you get the hot air out, the faster the car is going to go, and the better the engine is going to run. I get to show you some of the hood adjustments we've made to get that air in and out that much faster. This beautiful blue one here, you can see the supercharger. I want to say it's a Kenny Bell supercharger, but I can't swear to it. Once this supercharger goes on, it's going to get also a new radiator. A cooling system improved dramatically. The transmission cooler is going to be upgraded. You can look down up underneath it. The brakes are really going to be beefed up. But if you have bigger brakes, you have to have more air. So you're going to have a much different understructure here to get the air. The most important part's where it's going to be at, to cool the brakes off and to also keep the engine cooler. It'll probably be the middle of next week and have this one all finished. You can see the cold air going in, and that's still one of the old hoods right there. If you look here, you'll see where the Ford part was right there. That's going to be replaced with the Shelby front end. Same thing with the bumper also. Those parts will go back, and you can get them very inexpensively if you contact our parts. They have to come in as new parts and go out as used parts. It's been that way since the 60s. It has to come off the assembly line completely assembled. Once they get here, with hardly any miles on it, they've been used parts again. We're getting ready to put the brakes on, but I think we have the suspension on there. They do exactly what the movies show them to do. They're able to take on all the roughness you want to give them, but at the same time, if you're ready to race another 850 horsepower pickup truck, you're probably going to win it with this one. I'm probably going to step away from the technical side at this point and talk about the people that work here. They're absolutely the best technicians, mechanics I've ever been around. They're constantly telling me what they do to the car, and I've improved dramatically my knowledge of these cars. To watch them work on these, I know Terrace and I know the other fellas, it is absolutely a joy knowing when I come through that door with the people here, I am showing them by far one of the best mechanical facilities in the country. Our mechanics are very well trained, very well schooled, and constantly supervised. Any mistakes they might possibly make will be caught at the far section of the PMI. We'll get there. When they leave this section, the mechanic will sign off. It's going to have an identification number on it, and you'll know what was done by who to your vehicle on what day. And you can see, I want to think that these parts are possibly going to go onto that pickup truck, but I can't swear to it. No, that might be a Mustang right there. I'm gonna have to take that back. Probably gonna go to this one right here. Now this is gonna have some paint work done to it. You'll notice from here back, it's mostly pickup trucks. We do pickup trucks the second half of the year is our biggest point, and we do the regular cars the first half of the year. In the near future, we're going to start getting into 2021s. We're trying to get all the 2020s finished as quick as we can. If you look at the engine, you can see something's missing. It's going to have the supercharger put on it. Probably finished off with everything by the end of next week. Those parts I'm talking about over there would be going on to this car. Transmission will be the same, but the engine will be beefed up to close to 850 horsepower. Now, these cars are waiting for something very minor. We'll come around, you can see the Super Snake here's about a finished deal. 525 horsepower right here. 850 horsepower Super Snake, a little bit less with the GT 350. GT 350 is a little bit wider. This is one of the wide body Cobras that we have. And I want to say that as the chairman of our company, this is pretty much where he keeps his vehicle at. Very, very powerful Cobra. This thing's right here, if anybody ever asked, would be the jack stand pins. It's an old style technology. You have a long jack stand. You push it up under there, then you push the jack down, and it's going to raise the car. You do it at either end, but that's what those things are right there. Not bumpers, they're for the jacks. And you keep in mind, these cars here have a design that would be born from the 30s. It was an Italian design originally, maybe even a Ferrari as far as it goes. But so many of the things you want to keep from that era, and this jack stand is one of them, the jack and the tire changing ability. Let's go this way. I can't let you go past this red line. Please get a picture of that colored vehicle right there. That is one of our Daytonas that we're working on. It's also the heritage type. So I'm not sure what engine is in it, but we'll talk about the Daytona Coupe in a moment. This is the continuance of one of the greatest American race cars ever. Every now and then you'll see us start one of these cars here from one end to the other. You get to see the whole body and everything done to it before we figure out what engine. It'll take about 2 or 3 weeks, but it's an absolute thrill. Each day you can see a little bit more done to that vehicle. I like the picture right up here. The car to the far left is the Hertz car. I talked about the Hertz earlier. All too often, Shelby knows a good deal. And he goes back with Ford very strongly in the mid-2000s. He gets again an arrangement with Hertz. They're automatics, but you can go out and rent yourself a Shelby Hertz. There was such a huge desire for these Shelby Mustangs, these Hertz cars, that is it Mark? Let's say you want one so bad that you rent that same one for a year straight. You're eligible then to be the first person to buy it. And you were not alone. When these come out in 06, everybody wanted a Shelby. And when that happened, Shelby says, I'm going to go big time. And out at the plant near the racetrack, they're going to do the Super Snake. But initially, they come up with a car called the Shelby GT. It took the Ford 4.6 engine. This is what the one in the middle is here. You can see the GT 500 convertible. That one in the middle, if I have my numbers correct, is the greatest selling Shelby ever. Now, it wasn't a huge monster car until you drive it. It's got the 4.6 in it, the Shelby Magic with the cold air intake, and the standard transmission brings up to 320 horsepower. It feels like a whole lot more when you punch it. But these were pretty much the ones to get everybody really interested, to keep the Shelby flame out there until the 500s were going to start coming out. And like I say, it's a fantastic car. That's what my Shelby is an 07 2007 GT. Runs like $1 million. So if you think this car's sneaking up on 15 years old, acts like it's 15 minutes old. Now this is the devil's home. The devil is somebody I absolutely love being around. I call him the devil because he's our chief designer. Vince DeVioletta is the vice president of operations and also the designer here. That will be his office there. He has an administrative office. I might show you a little bit on the other side. Vince was the person that worked with Carroll Shelby on the 1000. He would take Shelby out to the track. He would make sure Shelby had the water. He would take Shelby's recommendations or whatever. He knew at that time he was doing something very special, getting to be with the last Shelby. I wish that car was here. I could show you a picture of a very old man with the smile of a young man getting in and out of that vehicle. Knows it's his last one. It's going to have 1,000 horsepower. And Mr. Vince works in that area right there. If you want to see something very rare, very unique, I talked about the Hertz rentals. Well, Shelby was also with the Chrysler people for about close to 8 to 10 years or so. He had an arrangement with Avis, and they got some of the Shelby Chrysler little cars, the Lancers. They were very fast little cars. I'm going to let you be really cautious. Let's see. Oh, it's going to be around this way. Please step through here very carefully. I'll probably get in trouble. And that is one of the Lancers back there. Very rare do you see those anymore. That's Vince's. And Shelby did wonders with those cars. Now, this one's getting tuned up. If you look through there, you'll be able to see where the supercharger is going to be. These are getting beefed up, something very special. Looks like the Hertz bumpers and stuff right here. But when Vince goes to work, tunes everything out. He says, how can I get this done and that done? Him and the Ford design people work very closely together. Now, the 1,000 horsepower is impressive. On this rack right here, you can see the dyno is done there. I've been here on many occasions when they'll hit 1,350 horsepower dyno in them right here. When that happens, and I bring people through on the tours, it is almost erotic. Please be careful. I maybe shouldn't have used that word, but you feel it. And you feel a surge. I watch the people's faces when that's happening. And everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but many people will gather around, because how often do you see a dyno that's going to pull up 1,350 horsepower? We do it occasionally right here. This is our high performance section. You're going to see the Speed Vegas drift. We do have a relationship with Speed Vegas. It's going to get a little bit bigger. You'll be able to do their Shelby down there, then come up here and get the tour all in the same day and pay for it at one location. It's one of those things we started up again. We started up after the shutdown. These cars come in as Mustangs. You'll see it says 5.0. You'll see this is the 427, I think. GT 500. This will be about a 2007. It's going to be out at the Las Vegas. You might want to get a good picture of that. Look at the magnificent interior of this car. Over to the left is where all of the suspension and all the alignment and things of that nature are going to happen. Let me get a little bit closer. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to get the right numbers to coincide together. The gentleman that works on it does it on a very steady, regular basis. They're going to have to go through him. They're definitely going to get an alignment and a balancing before they're going to be leaving here. Now, a little bit further down, you see the Mustangs getting worked on. But just imagine this Mustang is now finished up, and it's going to have to get a technical inspection. Let's walk over this way. Let's see. I'm jumping around a little bit too much. I could do better. But you'll see some of the older ones here. This white one, if I understand it correctly, is going to go from the 4.6. It's going to be supercharged. It's going to have better than 600 horsepower. You can see one of the 1000s right here. I think we made about 30. That would be an image of the Shelby 1000. The one Mr. Shelby is in is the blue one. That would be just as fast as it. That's going to be, I think, a 2014 Shelby Super Snake back there, that black one. We're going to get very specific work done here. but it's done. The car is ready to go back, and it's going to have to see our technical inspector. He's got an incredibly clean eye. Now this one's getting some working stuff done to it. It's going to have the Shelby names and everything. You can see how the airflow is going to go into the hood right there. That makes it much, much faster. That would be a Vince, the Violetta specialty. He's able to get the air in and out much quicker with these cars. Can't go past the black line, but I think that's a finished engine in there. Please make sure you don't get the CSM number, but if you want to plug this distance to them, be able to pick it up. Won't be long, this one will go back to the dealership. And somebody looks like you, Mark, is going to say, thank the Lord, my Shelby's here. This would be about a 2014 Super Snake right here. So this is where the PDI is done. If you're going to have to get the car painted, our paint shop is going to be right back here. You come out for the most part without a blemish. If there is a blemish, of course, it's going to get redone. I'm hoping I can find a signature edition, but I just don't see one right now. If you're going to have 850 horsepower on your car, what you're going to have is bigger tires. You're going to have bigger tires, you're going to have bigger wells back here. So it's called the wide body. You put rear quarter panels on the rear, making them a lot wider. That fabrication is going to be done right back over here. This is our upholstery shop. You'll see the name Kanskin. They're about the most elite name in upholstery, interiors, things you're going to get for the automobiles. When they come to town, they bring a great product. If you can possibly get lucky enough to have that in your car, you're not going to be able to have a better interior than the Kanskin. Parts will be fabricated back there. Sometimes you want to try things and you don't want nobody to know if they do or don't work, because you don't know if it's going to work unless you try. So many things were done that, okay, it did work or it didn't work. And a lot of times it's going to be done back in that area back there. The upholstery guys are going, like I say, for the day. And now we're back at the wash point. The vehicles are ready. Mark, it's about 4 weeks and you're ready for your Shelby to show up. It's going to get washed here. They'll notify the dealer. It'll be shipped up in an enclosed container. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see the three faces of Carroll Shelby. This is Mr. Shelby on toward the end of it. Still a very healthy looking man. Very proud of what he had done. If Mr. Shelby had a great moment where he knew the world was looking, it would be this right here. This would be near the Los Angeles airport. Actually, it's on the side of the runway. All those barriers are to keep the jet blast off all those magnificent little Shelbys that are going to go to Europe and turn the racing world upside down. Mr. Shelby's right at 40 in that picture, but I want to show you the real Shelby. Carroll Hall Shelby, about 21 years old, a sergeant flight instructor teaching young people in 1943 and 44 how to fly B-29s. You had to have something really on the ball to be in that position. The Army Air Corps, and Shelby had a flight license, had a flight certificate. He was able to teach the people how to fly. He stayed in Texas through the war. This next picture is Shelby selling Shelby. By the mid-50s, he's easily one of the great American race drivers, but he stands out with the overalls. Gives the impression he works on the ranch in the morning and racing that afternoon. Now, many people have seen the movie, so they know Shelby takes on Ferrari, but he doesn't do it initially. These cars are some of the greatest American cars ever. These are the Shelby AC Cobras. Shelby in 1961 says to Ford Motor Company, I'm going to shorten up the story, Ford, I will give you a car that at no cost can beat the Corvettes. Ford has plenty of money but no power, and they say, Shelby, do it. Shelby has friends in Europe, the AC Manufacturing Company. They no longer have an engine relationship with Bristol. Shelby convinces them to let him have 2 of those. They ship them over, and the 289 engine's going to go into it, and the rest is a glorious history. I have a favorite picture in this building, and it is that one right there. You could be no more humble than that. See Mr. Shelby at the top of that. He has 2 garage spaces or stalls in Dean Moon's garage in Santa Fe Springs, California. That car has just come over from Europe. They've gotten all the paint taken off of it. If I have a favorite person, it's that unknown young man up there next to the steering wheel. We know he's a 17-year-old junior in high school, and he wants to be there to get that car together. Shelby had the ability to bring these young people together without a huge amount of administrative divisiveness and come up with a great car. Mr. Charlie Agapol goes over there. That's also where Ken Miles starts to get his renown. These cars right here would have about 330 horsepower, and they went to many a Corvette funeral because they killed a lot of Corvettes. Now this next car I want to talk about and highlight is this long silhouette right here. This is the Daytona Coupe. A dramatic improvement over the Cobra. Now when I say that, look at the nose of it, the airflow. It's going to have a top which is going to turn into a microwave for the driver. The spoiler on the back is a Peter Brock design, and Ken Miles helped work the bugs out. These cars will do 150. These cars will do 185, and they will take on Enzo Ferrari and come close to beating him in Europe for the FIA Series in '64, and they bury him in '65. Now these beautiful Mustangs are making Mr. Shelby very busy. Now the reason I say that, in 1965, Shelby and the Cobra have done everything they could do. Ford has said to Shelby, can you go to Le Mans with the Ford GT40? Shelby says yes, so he's working on that. When the Mustang comes out, it does not have a muscle car image, so who does Ford go to for the image? Carroll Shelby. This is the car. I'm going to give you its name in a moment, why it's called that, but you can see Shelby is now moved. We're at the hangar at Los Angeles, like we showed at the beginning. All these Mustangs are going from regular, what was known as a secretary's car, to a supercar. You'll see the building up there where the word Cobra is. You see Mr. Shelby in his office not far from there. Why is the car called GT350? Because it is 350 feet from the office to the assembly line. Shelby didn't have time to play games with names. That's where you get the name GT350, simply because of a distance of a walk. The movie does a brilliant job. Here's the 1000 I said Mr. Shelby was in. We cleaned it up. This was the last car that Mr. Shelby was in. It is kind of special just looking at it. Now, you'll see this black and white photo with the 3 cars right there. Most controversial finish ever at Le Mans. The movie does a pretty good job of highlighting it. Ken Miles in the car to the right. Many people say he was robbed. I'm going to say it was just the way the cards fell. But the next year, that red #1 car right there, strictly my opinion, is Shelby's greatest moment. That car is a huge improvement over the blue one. Red one's going to have a honeycomb understructure, much faster. It's going to go to Le Mans in '67 and take on the Ferraris 2 years in a row. What you don't know about that car is, I'm going to tell this quickly, the windshield has a chip in it. They find this on Tuesday of race preparation week at Le Mans. Word goes out that car can't race with the chip in it. To get new windshields into those cars, Corning puts them on a Pan Am 707 first class and flies them to Paris. So imagine you fly first class if you're a windshield. Dan Gurney and AJ Foyt went in red #1. You can see Dan Gurney on top right there. And that's where you get the tradition of soaking the crowd with champagne. Was Dan Gurney at the '67 race. Many people say, and I think it's true, his first target was Henry Ford II's wife, Christina. Now, we talked about a car earlier. That would be the one that Shelby had with Chrysler, that red one. You could rent one of these cars, I believe it was from Avis. Very peppy little car. This car right here would be the Shelby Dodge Daytona. Had a 2.2 in it. Didn't have a lot of horsepower, but it's very light. You put the the turbo in it, front wheel drive, and it would do very, very good. But the devil himself talks to Carroll Shelby. He says, Shelby, I'm going to give you one hell of a car. And that's what that black car right there is, that 4-door Dodge Omni. It could take on any of the Mustangs, Camaros, and give it a great run. Shelby calls it the GLH, the Go Like Hell. Now, if we'll come down this way, we'll see Shelby and Ford getting back together in about 2005. The Hertz is there, Shelby's in that car. The GT is there, Super Snakes are there, and Mr. Shelby's very happy right there. Why not? Look at all those great cars with the Shelby name. He's an older man. Greatest cars, I think, names in America have the word Shelby in front of them someplace. Mr. Shelby there in his earliest days, and early 40s, the last of the Shelby, the 1000. Mr. Shelby passes in 2012, and we're not going to let the name go down any. But what is Shelby's start point? We're in this magnificent facility. I want everybody to look up there where it says Ford improves the breed in open competition. That is CSX 2000, the first Shelby. Mixture of Europe and America. Shelby has it at the Detroit Auto Show. Everybody who sees it loves it. Shelby says, you know, I'm going to be at the New York Auto Show in a couple of weeks. I'll be there with my yellow one. Everybody's there. They see it, they go crazy. Shelby gives many people the chance to test drive the car. Maybe American Car and Driver will test drive one on Monday, the red one. Playboy and Shelby had a good association, so Playboy will test one on Wednesday. They'll get the green one. Popular Mechanics will get the red one on Saturday, and who knows who's going to get one the following week. But everybody drove these beautifully different Shelby cars and wrote up great reviews for them. Everybody please say greatest cars ever. Everybody did, and you've been part of a great lie. Shelby had one AC Cobra that got repainted every time it went out. Maybe Monday it was red, but Wednesday it was green. Who knew the difference? They said at one time over an 8-day period, this car got 6 different paint jobs. Hope everybody enjoyed the tour. Mike Dempsey out.
My name's Carroll Shelby, and performance is my business.
All right, thank you for visiting All Auto Vlog. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next Friday. On your way out, if you're not a subscriber, please hit that red subscribe button below and give us a like and a comment. See you next week.